Imagine this, my dear viewer. You're planning your month, jotting down dates only to find that, wait, there's an extra month, just lurking there. After June and before July, a peculiar little addition called Saul, or maybe Triskaideka, if we're feeling fancy. You blink and look again, wondering, who put this there? And why has no one told me about it before? Yes, a 13-month calendar. No, not a typo, nor the ramblings of a madman. For centuries, a dedicated bunch of ambitious thinkers, calendar enthusiasts, and let's be honest, probably some bored monks, tried to bring a 13-month year to life. And here we are, with our 12 months, wondering why anyone would add a whole new one, like an awkward +1 at a party. But let's suspend disbelief for a moment. Imagine how life might have been if the 13-month calendar had won the battle of dates. Today, we're taking a jolly stroll down the twisted, often hilarious path of the calendar reform that nearly was, and almost wasn't. So, where does this oddball idea come from? Well, brace yourself. People have been tinkering with calendars since, the dawn of time, but the 13-month plan specifically. That was cooked up in the early 20th century by a gentleman named Moses B. Cotsworth, a British railway engineer, no less. Now, Mr. Cotsworth wasn't content to just keep trains running on time. Oh no, he decided he was going to solve one of history's greatest headaches, the chaotic, unpredictable calendar we all accept today. You know, that one where months are 31 days here, 28 days there, and somehow February is just hanging in the wind. Cotsworth thought, hang on, what if we had equal months? Is the same number of days in each? Simple, straightforward, tidy as a cup of tea? And so he presented the world with a brilliant idea, 13 months, each with precisely 28 days. Each month would start on the same day of the week, every single time, with no leap years or fiddly bits to trip us up. He even had a name for this marvel of a calendar, the International Fixed Calendar. Quite fancy, really. The idea was so appealing, it actually started gathering steam. Some of the big wigs, and I mean seriously influential folks like George Eastman, the chap who founded Kodak, thought this was just the ticket. Kodak actually adopted the 13-month calendar for their employees in 1928. Imagine that Kodak ran on a different time schedule from the rest of the world. But here's the kicker, and the reason the whole scheme is such a delightfully British kind of eccentricity. The 13th month wasn't called July Part 2 or Extra June. No, it was called Saul, named after the sun, supposedly, because why not toss a bit of poetry in with our precision timekeeping, right? So there it was, a world with the makings of a 13-month year. But as you might imagine, things didn't quite go according to plan. All right, now let's really dig into the nuts and bolts of this thing. So, imagine a year split into 13 identical months, each one exactly 28 days long. Yes, 28 days. That's 4 neat little weeks per month, every month. And if you're counting along at home, yes, that gives us 364 days. A tidy, predictable number, until of course you remember that pesky little extra day we have each year. So, what do we do with that 365th day, you ask? Well, the inventors of the 13-month calendar didn't want to break their perfect setup, so they decided to make this rogue day something special. They called it Year Day, an extra holiday that didn't belong to any month at all. Just a lovely free-floating day at the end of the year, as if Father Time himself said, go on, have a day on me. And leap years, same deal. Every 4 years we'd get an additional leap day, also free of any month. It's almost poetic, isn't it? Like an extra dessert nobody ordered. But the structure was only the start of its quirkiness. Each month began on a Sunday and ended on a Saturday. Imagine a world where every single month followed the same rhythm, like clockwork. Every birthday, anniversary and appointment would fall on the exact same day of the week each year. No more is Christmas on a Tuesday this time. It would always be the same day. Imagine the organized bliss. But the true piece de resistance, the 13th month, Saul, it would slot in comfortably between June and July. Saul, of course, was meant to honor the sun, and just think of it, each year we'd all get an extra month of summer. Not a bad idea, right? Or maybe it's just a month where nobody knew what to do with themselves. What did you do in Saul? Oh, I wandered around confused again. Now, at first glance, it all sounds logical, almost too logical. Perhaps that's why it didn't catch on, because as we'll see, while Cotsworth's calendar had fans, it also had its fair share of skeptics who thought this was, well, an awfully ambitious overhaul for something most people barely remember to buy in time for January. Now, you might be thinking, this 13-month calendar sounds like it could really catch on, so what happened? Well, let's just say that people didn't exactly get the chance to reorganize their lives around a new month named after the sun. You see, the 13-month calendar had a few, shall we say, to overcome. First, there was the whole question of tradition. Most people were perfectly happy with their 12-month setup, thank you very much. They'd been using it since the Roman Empire, after all. Changing something as embedded as the calendar would be like telling everyone to suddenly start driving on the other side of the road. It would be chaos, or worse, bureaucracy. Then there was the issue of religion. Major religious holidays like Easter are based on lunar cycles and the traditional calendar. Imagine trying to convince churches and religious leaders worldwide to shift everything by a month. Good luck with that. For the devout, this was more than just an inconvenience. It was downright sacrilege. And then, of course, we have the business world, accountants and bankers. Oh, they were practically rioting at the thought. The 13-month calendar meant new calculations, revised financial quarters, and endless adjustments to interest rates and deadlines. You can just picture the boardrooms filling with groans and furrowed brows. As one might say, it was an absolute faff. But that's not all. Rumour has it that governments and world leaders weren't exactly thrilled about a universal calendar either. Some suspected it might give order and make things a little transparent. Can you imagine the horror of every politician having the same number of workdays in a term with no room to wiggle? They may have preferred things with a little more wiggle room. In the end, despite Kodak's brief love affair with 13 months, the whole thing fizzled out. The international fixed calendar made it about as far as a prototype can, like an odd cousin at the family reunion who talks about starting a new life in Brazil but never books the ticket. The world simply shrugged its shoulders and went back to its charmingly inconsistent 12-month grind. All right, now let's have a bit of fun. Imagine if, somehow, the 13-month calendar had actually the date wars. What kind of world would we be living in today? First off, imagine celebrating your birthday on the every single year. No more, oh no, it's on a Monday this time. Instead, every birthday would be perfectly predictable, although that does take some of the spontaneity out of planning a surprise party. And as for holidays like Christmas, always on a Wednesday, folks, every single year, talk about routine, and let's not forget the magic of an extra month. Just picture it. The world suddenly has a whole new month, squeezed in there between June and July. Think of all the jokes and memes we'd have today. Sorry, mate, I'll pay you back by Saul. Or maybe that project. It's due by the end of Saul. It would be chaos at first, but can you imagine the bragging rights of being born in Saul? People would be clamouring to have birthdays in this mysterious bonus month. Oh, and speaking of accounting, those poor folks would finally have 13 perfectly even months to balance out the books. Although, who are we kidding? They'd probably still find something to grumble about. Ah, but the leap day's just floating there, they'd say, gnashing their teeth. All in all, a 13-month year would certainly give us a few extra quirks to contend with. Who knows? Maybe we'd be a more orderly society. Or maybe we'd all just need a strong cup of tea after every New Year day. Either way, it's a fascinating glimpse at a world that almost was, yet somehow wasn't. And there you have it, folks. The tale of the 13-month calendar, a quirky chapter in the history of timekeeping that nearly reshaped our entire world. It's fascinating, isn't it, how close we came to having an extra month to juggle, an extra week to plan, and an extra day to celebrate. So next time you find yourself struggling to remember which months have 30 days and which have 31, just think it could have been simpler or stranger. If you enjoyed this trip through forgotten history, do give us a like, maybe even subscribe. And join us for more curious tales of things that almost cheers.